are here right now in Studio 113 in Gainesville, Georgia with some talent. Can you feel the energy? Claudia Mendoza, Hannah Murrow, American Lit Honors students, of course. And so let's kind of talk about education today. Claudia, if you can improve public education, what 3 changes would you make and why?
The biggest thing I think is the disconnection between teachers and students. I think there should be more kind of communication between the two, just to kind of make a classroom that's more connected, not just between the teachers and students, but maybe the students themselves kind of understand each other, kind of get to know each other, kind of push ourselves out of our boundaries and get to know new people. Another thing is kind of the whole worrying about the grades and just how much emphasis the teachers and even students put on grades. Because I remember today I was talking to my friend and we were like, okay, we need to finish this work, otherwise we'll get a bad grade. And when we finished, we were like, hey, did we actually learn anything? And we realized we didn't. It was just more of us writing down stuff. And then we just kind of stopped there and thought for a second, are we actually learning or are we just kind of memorizing things? And then I think we really need to focus on that, just how much emphasis on grades we have now. And then the last thing I think is the kind of how we put ourselves into cliques and then we don't get to know other people. And as we grow up, we grow up in the same clique and we never get to know people. And just today I met Hannah and I know she's a really smart girl and very artistic, like you said. And now I know her, and then hopefully later we'll get to talk more.
Yeah, I'd like to see what you two could create if y'all got together and started talking. What do you think about your 3 changes?
One of the changes I would make would be definitely the connection between the teachers and the students. I don't feel like there's much of an understanding between the two. The students don't fully understand what the teachers go through, and the teachers don't fully understand what the students go through. I think if there was more communication between both of them, that there'd be a lot better results with work and conflicts if there was any. Something else I might want to change would be, it'd be work and how it's assigned and when it's assigned. When teachers assign work, I understand that there do need to be some assignments here and there, but once there's an assignment in every class and a project due in one class, then it kind of gets overwhelming. And if the teachers kept in mind that we don't only have one class, we have 7, maybe there'd be better understanding there.
Okay. And y'all both are talking about the disconnect. Crazy idea. Do you think it would be fruitful if we kind of switched and had these students teach for a while, teachers right here in the classroom, and then just kind of talk about what each person is experiencing? I know that would take a few days or whatever, but wouldn't that be a great experiment?
Yeah, I think with the subject that everyone, American literature, I think it's something you can actually do, switch roles, and then that's a way to really expand on the whole communication thing. You guys get to understand each other, and then students see how much work teachers actually put into the whole assignment and stuff like that.
So let's look at number 2. Ready? Y'all are principals right now, but your student principals, what types of teachers would you hire and why? Claudia?
The way I understand it, there's a whole student-teacher process, and I think if you put more emphasis on that and then make the teachers actually teach a classroom for a longer time, because I know they teach them for a couple weeks, but it really isn't enough to fully understand the whole teacher experience and understand students. And I think at the end of it, if they get feedback from the actual students and the teachers actually talk to the students and see what the conflicts were, what they did good, I think if they did that with teachers or students who are trying to be teachers, I think that would be the kind of people I want to hire, the ones who understand what students and teachers both need from each other.
Okay, cool.
I would look for a teacher who not only wants to teach and openly shows that they do, but who wants to work with younger people, because I see quite a few teachers these days that just don't seem like they enjoy their job. They don't seem like they like standing up in front of everyone, and they don't seem like they like you when you come up and talk to them. They just don't seem like they would get along very well.
Okay.
And they just need to be willing to do that.
Again, there's that theme of being disconnected from teachers to students, so something maybe we can kind of talk more about if y'all think of anything with that. So flip it, and hopefully it's not too redundant, but you're having to fire a teacher. What types of teachers would you just say, I'm sorry, but you're just not right for us here at this school?
I think the teachers who, like she said, kind of like, I have to help them. I think those are the kind of teachers that you would want to fire, because those are the ones who really don't have an interest anymore to teach. And the whole point of going to school is to learn about the subjects. And if you really don't understand, and it's just becoming a memorizing kind of thing, kind of lecture every day, kind of becomes a routine. And I feel like having those kind of teachers kind of brings a negative into the school.
I would probably look to fire someone who maybe is too overly emotional, who lets their emotions get the best of them. If they seem like they've been having a bad day, which I understand a bad day because everyone's had a bad day, but when you let that come into the classroom and all of a sudden you start taking your anger out on your students or just being rude to them because you're not in a good mood, I don't think that's a good trait to have. And even if you're happy about something and you let that get in the way of your teaching and you just sit up there in a good mood, being friends with everyone, which I think is a good thing, but maybe you would still want to get in some teaching. So.
Yeah. Anything else with types of teachers you would be looking for?
Yeah, I understand that teachers really don't get to choose what they want to teach at the end of the day, but I think if the principal and the teachers actually talk to each other and be like, hey, I like this subject more than this one, but could I teach this? Because I have a genuine interest into this. I think that'd be another way to improve the whole system.
Okay, so there would be more of a passion
Yeah.
if you were teaching what you wanted to. Okay. And let's look at the next one here, smartphones. Always a hot topic anywhere. All right, so do you think smartphones should be in the classroom? Why or why not?
I think with moderation, you could use cell phones as another learning tool. I know that during class sometimes we use it for things like Poll Now, and that's where the students, you can see on their faces that they're excited to use that because they're kind of using what they enjoy doing, and it's being on their phone, and then they get to show that in the classroom, and then I think it just brings an overall more interest. And then I know we're in the 21st century, so why wouldn't we take advantage of the technology we have?
Right. I call it a palm top. Palms of your hands. It's a little laptop in the palm of your hand.
I definitely think smartphones should be used in classrooms. Maybe not all the time during classrooms or in classrooms, but if there's an assignment that you're given and it requires you looking something up, I think it's a lot easier to just whip out your phone and type something into Google than logging into a computer or taking out a laptop. So it would save you time on the assignment.
Okay. Both of y'all are kind of speaking towards moderation, which is really cool. But do you think that the reason you're saying moderation is because maybe you think that students sometimes don't have the discipline to disconnect and say, I'm not answering that text or whatever, I'm supposed to be focused on this? Mm-hmm. Is that one of the reasons why you say moderation?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the whole communication thing. If you go in the beginning of the year and the teacher explains to the students that there will be time for the cell phone, and with time there will be everything. If they establish those rules at the beginning of the year, I think it'll really set the tone for the whole year. They'll understand, the students will understand themselves, and that the phone isn't there to text each other. And I think students understand that if the teachers talk to them, and then students will understand that the time to text back is during class change when there's no learning to be done. I think if you really establish the rules, then you can really set a tone for the whole year.
So it comes down to classroom setup and a foundation at the beginning of the year, right? Hannah, anything to add to that?
I agree with her opinion, and I definitely say moderation because I know a few students who don't have that discipline to just put it down. They just, as soon as it buzzes or goes off, they pull it out and check it regardless of what's happening.
Yeah, so you would agree to use the smartphone as a learning tool and not a toy?
Yeah.
Okay. And Hannah, let's start with you on this one, just flip it up a little bit. How can all teachers integrate students' passions, talents, and interests into what they need to teach?
Well, maybe if they took time at the beginning of the school year to get to know the students, not only to introduce themselves and let the students know about them, but to make sure the students know each other and everyone knows each other and understands each other's passions and interests. And maybe that would help think of a way to integrate those into projects and assignments.
Okay.
And she has a really good point with the whole, at the beginning of the year, if you kind of set a foundation to where a classroom can be open and students feel like they can express themselves, and they'll show their interest through the projects that they do or their assignments. And I think that if students and teachers understand each other at the beginning of the year, then it really sets a really good classroom. And I think students can actually learn from their peers and understand their interests, and whenever there's group assignments, they'll know what they're good at. If they're artistic, if they're good writers, if they're the good leaders, they'll understand what they're interested in, how they like to socialize, how they like to interact, kind of the person they are.
And then all of that collaboration and creating that family-like atmosphere in the classroom should lead to a lot of creativity and a learning experience that's just, when the bell rings, you're like, wow, time's already up. Just a yes or no to this question, okay? Have, in any time in your classes that you've been through all these years, do you felt like you ever finished the last day of that class and the teacher still did not know who you were? Have you ever had that experience? Just yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Hannah, will you tell us a little bit about your talents and your skills and your interests, passions, whatever?
My talents include anything really art related. I can pull out the paints and paint a picture of a description, just give me a description or a word even, and I could probably pull it out pretty well. And the same goes with any other kinds of mediums. I could use charcoal or just pencil and a piece of notebook paper. And writing is also a big one. I love writing stories. And when it comes to school things, it helps me a lot getting to understand things, or when there's an assignment where you have to write out something on a topic, it's easier to explain.
You're awesome too, so tell us why.
I think leadership is one of the biggest things that I have. I've been in several camps and things during the summer, and things like student council, FBLA, they've all let me kind of excel in leadership. They've all taught me how to organize and plan things. And it really, because there's advisors there, you talk to the teachers there or the advisors, and you really get to know that person because they're outside of school and they kind of like let themselves go. I think it goes back to the whole communication thing, especially like I think last year, I got nominated for the GHP, which is the Governor's Honors Program for Art.
And so tell us a little bit more. You were nominated and selected for the Governor's Honors Program?
Yeah, I think two other students for art were nominated, so it was kind of a big honor, especially since it was my first year in art. And it's kind of like you go and you exhibit your art of your choice. You go there and then you get chosen or not if you get to go further into the thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to the actual exhibit because I had other things to attend to. So that was an opportunity, but I know if I talk to Mr. Valley, he'd offer me the opportunity again this year.
Okay. And let's jump to maybe one or two more questions here, but let's fast forward 20 years from now. And I see you all, of course I'm still ugly and bald-headed, right? And I say, hey Hannah, what are you up to now? And you're just so happy that you can't wait to tell me.
Well, 20 years from now, I really hope to have my own place somewhere in a nice big city and to be employed in a job that I love doing. And I really want to go to college for video game design and development. So I'm hoping to be working with one of the big leaders in video games and just learning, or not learning, but getting better with my animation skills?
I think physical therapy. Since ninth grade, one of my teachers, they kind of explained what the whole physical therapy was. She took time, she talked to me, and since then I've really been interested in this subject, and being a physical therapist is probably what I'd like to do. And during the summer, I'd really like to organize and be kind of an advisor at summer camps for students and leadership. That'd be what I'd like to do in 20 years from
Definitely
now.
see a bright future for both of y'all, and I want to thank you for your time coming in here to talk to us and to teach us teachers, about what it's like to look through a classroom through a student's eyes. So thank y'all very much.
Thank you for having us.